Welcome to the next day of the Epstein Files with Sam and Amy. And we have to get right into it, Sam, because
Okay, and it's not just the next day, Aim, because I've had 2 days over the weekend to just pour and obsess over this, and I can barely sleep. I'm, like, so involved at this point.
well, I'm also obsessed. And it's just like it's a rabbit hole that you can't stop going down. Right. And like, also, how do we know so many people in the files? I mean, it's not funny, but it's like I feel like I know so many people in the
Yeah,
files. And it's,
but it's also just shows you that, like, how so many powerful people I guess if you're attracted to shiny objects, you're attracted to this. Like, it's not enough to have fancy cars and fancy homes. You have to also have, like, shiny objects, which in this case
yeah,
is young children. It's not even just girls, by the way, it's boys.
I'm, yes, it is like, it is just this like, I can't wrap my head around it. Like one of the things that it's kind of like, we've just opened the door to this whole shadow world that I kind of knew existed because when I say we know people, it's like from raising venture capital, from writing books, from, having columns, like being at these
Right, the people
conferences,
that run the world.
people around the world. And like we've been
Whether you're
around
in
them.
media, whether you're
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
finance, these
Yeah.
are people who are powerful.
They run the world. And like opening the door to the way that they speak to one another, to the fact that they do not believe the rules apply to them, to the excesses that they're desiring. It's so sad. And also the way they talk about people who are not them.
Well, also, I wanna make it clear that it's not every person in power. There are plenty of powerful people who are not in the Epstein files, people with morals, people who had access to this kind of life and wanted nothing to do with it. It's important to classify these people as completely devoid of any morals. I think one of the important things, Aim, is that these are children, right? And as a parent, you realize, like, how do you protect your own kids from never being exposed to people like this? Because they were sexualizing children at age 13, 14.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 12. This is absolute sickness.
And they are speaking about the children and the young women as cattle or worse.
And by the way, Ian, can we talk about the fact that there's a lot of women in these files that were
My God.
complicit? Not
Okay.
just
Okay.
Maxwell. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I have gone down the rabbit hole this weekend over Kathy Rumler. Is
Yes.
that how you say
And
her
Goldman
name?
Sachs, chief counsel.
Chief counsel Goldman Sachs. Prior to that, a top lawyer in the Obama White House, hope and change, my president, right? Like this is the guy like I went to the mat for.
Your former
And
president.
former president. She is all over the files. And previously, she has said something to the effect of, like, I had a professional relationship with him. Bullshit. I mean, she is like, there are emails. I mean, there are like salacious emails, but it's very clear the friendship was incredibly close. And the fact that she is still the top lawyer at Goldman Sachs, if that's not,
I
if
understand it. I mean,
that's not like a fuck you to
she was
accountability.
literally in bed, not physically. She was confidant to the largest pedophile in our lifetime.
And she
But like
also
she's still his
she
legal
sought his
counsel.
counsel constantly on issues. She
Yes.
sought his counsel on issues of romance, on issues of work, on it, like constantly, right? And the thing that got me, this is the thing that sent me over the edge this weekend with this woman. And it
Yeah.
might seem small to you, but like it just it's great. Tina Brown, Daily Beast, like, kind of like
Of her.
icon of journalism. She wrote some of the earliest critical articles about Epstein, besides, our hero, Julie Brown from the Miami Herald. Tina Brown writes these articles. Epstein tries to stop her. He shows up at her office and tries to stop her. And she just holds the line. And she's like, if you want to talk to me, it's going to be on the record. That's it. She also had this amazing conference, which, Women in the World. And it was just amazing conference. Some women we know and love, like Mindy Grossman, the former CEO of WW, spoke at it. And it's a great conference. There are a chain of emails where Epstein is joking with a lot of men about this Women in the World conference and how they should go. They should go. They should show up at this conference. Like they just mock the idea of accountability and equality and equity, like just openly mock it. Kathy mocked it with them. And I was like, no.
She has to go. I
I
mean,
mean,
this woman was witness to so much depravity. Like, I don't even understand when you are hiring someone as your chief counsel. I mean, Goldman Sachs, the top bank in the world, arguably, their
yeah.
chief counsel clearly has the shittiest judgment. So that is a fireable offense. Like, she should have been already fired. I don't understand how a woman would work at Goldman Sachs today. Like, how
I
would
don't,
they?
and I know women partners at Goldman Sachs, and so do you, who are like avowed feminists and wonderful women. And I don't understand this. And also, like, I'm sorry, David Solomon, if you're listening to this, CEO of Goldman Sachs, who is, I've been around him. He's a great guy. He's a DJ. He's fun. He's interesting. He's smart. What are
By the way,
you
you need to
doing?
stop using the term great guy, because this is
Well,
the great guy term is how so many of these men have slid by, because great guy is bullshit. That's what Donald Trump says about every guy he likes. He's a great guy. A great guy is a guy who's keeps his mouth shut when he's exposed to stuff like this. That's what he termed.
I'm just like, I guess, like, maybe I should stop being surprised by the ability of powerful people to forgive the depravity of people in their network because they want to show up at the party and they want to all be okay and they want to ignore the terrible things that people they know are
Can
doing.
we move on to Leon Black? I mean, I am dying. The fact that this man is still not
Well,
behind bars, I just don't get it.
well, let's pause for a moment. The reason Leon Black is not Leon Black, who has been sued civilly and accused of federal crimes related to his interactions with Epstein and on his own. He is a billionaire with Apollo Management. Like, that would be my guess as to why he hasn't been held accountable, because I don't think billionaires are generally held accountable in America. But separately from that, his son is in the Trump administration. I don't know if you knew that.
No. What is his role?
Well, he's like, I think it's the Export Import Bank, which at the time, like, I was like, oh, not a big deal. Oh my God. If you think about like all of the, trafficking, I don't know. But
I
his
mean,
son is in the Trump administration. So you have to
Leon
imagine.
Black from Apollo, whose name comes up all the time in business. He is, I mean, there's one part which isn't even, I think, the criminal part where he is on, I guess the FBI recorded a conversation with him and his mistress where he offered her $15 million to just go away. And it's
I mean,
all the
that's a
whole
lot.
conversation
That's a lot of
is
money. Like, you don't offer $15
well, it's
million.
irrelevant the amount of money. She didn't take it. She knew she was being wiretapped. So she said, I want
Well,
$100 million. And he said, for what? And she said, I want half of your earnings for the 5 years we were together. And he's like, but you weren't my wife. And she's like, well, I kind of was. And she just keeps going in a circle. They're at Le Bernardin, which is like the top restaurant in New York City, for lunch. And she's basically knows she's like screwing with him because FBI is listening. But that wasn't even one of like the worst things he did. That was like a legal thing. It's legal to have a mistress. The illegal stuff that he did is the stuff that's just astounding. And the fact that he's
allegedly.
still,
Allegedly.
I mean, at this point, Aim, here's a problem. We now have 3 million emails already, right? Or is it 5 million total that have been released today? 2 million more today. So
2
today's a
million more were released today.
huge day.
I've been on calls all day. So
Today is a huge day. Today, 2 million new emails were released. And the craziest part is they were released to Congress, to US Congress. And they said to the members of Congress, you can see them all, but you are not allowed to take any photos. You can only take notes. Now, I was thinking about why they would do this, Amy, and here's what I'm thinking is that if it was a Democrat that says something, they're going to say, oh, it's partisan politics, right? So they're going to blame it on partisan stuff. And if it's a Republican that says something, well, they just won't because they're too afraid. So I think that's why they didn't take pictures. They didn't allow picture taking.
well, this is actually a tactic that the DOJ does use in a lot of cases. Will allow people to come in and take photos. It's like, not take photos, but allow people to come in and view
Take notes.
documents,
Okay.
not like in their office. It's bizarre that they're doing it this way. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, the thing I think that's like exhausting about all of this is it's so clear what happened here and the government, and not just like today it's the Trump administration, but like this has been going on for multiple presidential
Yeah.
administrations,
And I
right?
think
This is
you
like,
need to say, Amy, that this is a nonpartisan thing. There
yes,
are your favorite Democrats and your favorite
totally.
Republicans are all in
Yeah.
here, period.
Oh, 100%. Like, and the cover up is a multiple presidential cover up, right? Like, Biden could have released them, Trump could have released them. Like, I mean, hell, like, Obama came after the Alex Acosta sweetheart deal in 2008, right? Like, this could have been changed over the course of 20 years. And the things that is so fucking exhausting about all of this is that, like, we all see it. America, everyone in the world sees it. And over in Europe, we are seeing government official after government official step down over their ties to Epstein. And over here on this side of the pond, we're just like, I don't know. These are wealthy people. They're just going to do what they're going to do. To the point where, like, when the FBI and the attorneys got their redaction instructions, which were part of the release files, they were like, redact pictures of ex presidents and celebrities.
And by the way, part of
Like,
what's so
what?
complicated about these files is we live in a world of AI where anyone can now create something. So people are very concerned that what they're seeing is not real, right? Which of course helps the predators because they can deny and deny and deny. However, you can make sure that what you're seeing is real by comparing it to what is on the DOJ website because that stuff is all legitimate and it's by file number. Okay. So that's one way to see if what you're looking at on Reddit or wherever, whatever rabbit hole you're in is legitimate. However, what happened was there were files in the DOJ that have now been taken down because what they realized is that this administration or this DOJ spent all this time, Amy, redacting names of the villains and not the victims. So there
Yeah,
were all these victims' personal information that they had to then, that their lawyers said, why are you putting my client's social security number on here? Her photos.
yeah.
It's insane. So they had to take those down. But
But
what's so,
which, like, you really can't take down, right?
they're already up there. They're already in someone's file. They're already been saved. Right.
Right, and they're there forever. People downloaded them forever, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, did you see," like, speaking of just, like, accountability, the, prosecution memo that the DOJ drafted. So whenever the DOJ decides to, not whenever, but usually, when the DOJ decides to prosecute a case, they will draft a prosecution memo. And in that memo, the line prosecutors who investigated the case will lay out the facts, the targets, co-conspirators, and decide who they're going to charge, what they're going to charge them with, and kind of justify it to top brass. And, like, this is where the whole story lies, right? Somehow, because there was so much, like, negligence, I think, in this review where they released so many victims' names, they released the prosecution memo. And, like, a lot of it was redacted, but there's gold in there, and then they deleted it from the files. And, of course, everyone's downloaded it, but we have to talk about it. It's like a whole day's discussion to walk through it. But there's a detailed memo, and the issue is there's lots of co-conspirators named in there. Like, the DOJ knows who the co-conspirators are. We know who the co-conspirators are. Wait, can I tell one more thing I found this
Yeah,
weekend? I'm in Columbus, Ohio, which is where Les Wexner
I know.
lives. We talked about it,
Now he's
Wexner's.
no longer, I think I said on one of the shows that he was like my old hero. He is not a hero. He is
No,
disgusting.
but this is crazy. There was an OBGYN in Columbus, in New Albany, where Les lives and where Epstein owned a bunch of property, that was on retainer for Epstein for $30,000 a month for years.
To do what, Amy?
I don't know, Sam. Maybe someone should ask him, like maybe someone with a law enforcement badge. I don't know, because I don't think Jeffrey Epstein himself needed OBGYN services. He's not a woman.
I mean, this is sickening. And the thing is, these, so one of the testimonies I saw over the weekend was a woman who's now an adult who said that she went to a school of performing arts in New York City. And she was this beautiful girl. She was walking outside of school after school one day, and this woman approached her, who is Ghislaine Maxwell, and started talking to her and basically grooming her. And she would show up meeting her after school a few days in a row. And then finally said to her, by the way, would you want $500 to work at a party? And that's what they would do is they would approach these girls and say, would you want to work at a party? Or by the way, when I grew up in New York City in the, well, I guess I graduated from high school in 90s. So I grew up in 80s, 90s. There was a whole thing that girls, really, really beautiful girls would hope to walk down the street and be discovered. And
Right.
they actually were. That's how a lot of starlets in Hollywood and New York Broadway scene were discovered. And that was like a whole thing. You could be discovered as a model if you just walked down the street. Well, they actually preyed upon that technique. And so Jillian Maxwell found a lot of girls that way for Jeffrey's pipe.
Oh, God. I mean, but it makes perfect sense. And then, and then if you have these young women who take these opportunities and then they're assaulted and then they're ashamed. And then what are they going to do? And it's like,
Well,
it's
also,
just,
Amy, a lot of them were threatened. So the one thing that was really consistent in there, and I will use names of people who were accused. We obviously they haven't yet been convicted of a crime, but Donald Trump was among them. Jeffrey Epstein, Steve Bannon. These guys apparently would threaten these girls after whatever happened and would say, if you tell anyone, you won't survive, just like so and so. And they would mention another girl that these people knew that had not survived. So I think that we're not just talking about sexual abuse, we're talking about murders too. And we do
yeah,
know that 22 people who've been affiliated with this case have died in very suspicious circumstances. One of them, who is to me the most heartbreaking in some ways, is Virginia Guthrie. She was the lead sort of victim. She gave a lot of other victims their strength
Mhm.
to come forward, and she was very brave. And if you remember, I think it was 10 days before her supposed suicide, which we don't believe was an actual suicide, but 10 days earlier, she'd been hit by a school bus.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
So it's clear that someone was hunting her down.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and there's also, there when you read through anonymous tips, there are many anonymous tips that people were murdered and buried at Zorro Ranch, and you sit there and you're like, "Oh, I must
The
be a
New
con."
Mexico ranch for
Yes, New
people
Mexico,
listening.
and people are like, "Oh, you must be a conspiracy theorist." Like, no, the simplest explanation is generally the explanation here, right? And, like, we know there's so many horrifying things. The other thing that leads me to believe, that there was a lot of murder is, have you ever emailed with someone in your adult life about, like, grape soda?
Actually hate grape soda, but even if I liked it, there's no chance it would be mentioned in an email
Yeah.
probably.
So there are a lot of emails between Epstein and his colleagues in these horrors about, like, grape soda and when they're gonna get grape soda or how they're gonna get grape soda. There's a lot of emails about different colors of shrimp,
And
and
tell
one's
us
like,
what grape soda means.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but
Well,
it's
I mean,
like,
we do know that pizza was code for girls, and we do know that hot dogs were code for boys.
and then you get to this point, see, this is where, like, we're not going down this rabbit hole, and I never will because then I'll start to feel like I've jumped into the bad timeline of things that aren't real. But you look at those things like Pizzagate, right? Like, do you like, which I don't even know what Pizzagate, this thing of, like, there was sex trafficking in
I mean,
Washington,
that they
DC.
were using the same terminology. I
They were
mean,
using the same terminology, right? So
I don't believe that's a real thing. And again, I think we wanna make sure that we separate this very real sex trafficking bonanza
yeah.
from the conspiracy theories. And that unfortunately, like it benefits all of these villains, all of these predators, that there are conspiracy theories because they're just going to be able to dismiss all of the accusations as a witch hunt.
Well, and I did for a very long time, right? Like, and that's what Virginia, to your point, like, she was Virginia's strength and her consistency, and I mean, and I think the thing that, like, a lot of people who've survived trauma, like, every time she had to stand up and to give her testimony and to be there for other women and to do it, she gave of herself, of whatever peace she could have had, and there are a lot of people, and this is, I think Ghislaine Maxwell filed a petition for habeas last week, I think.
Yes, just today. She said she pleaded the fifth, right? That was
Well, that was her
today.
deposition, but last
Okay.
week she filed a document with the Supreme Court, which is basically like, you've run out of appeals, but, like, there's been manifest injustice, so you can appeal to the Supreme Court, and that's what she filed. It's called a habeas petition. And in that habeas petition, she dropped a footnote saying that there were, like, 20 civil settlements with co-conspirators and victims, and they're all under NDAs. And that's like a roadmap for all of us, right? But the reason I bring it up is 2 reasons. One, Virginia could have been paid out on her civil claims for the horrifying abuse she experienced and gone and lived her life in silence, signed the NDA and been done with it, right? But she chose instead to sacrifice whatever peace she could have to try to fight for other people and for it to stop. And she did end it. She did end it. But, like,
And she sacrificed her life for it. I mean, she's a
sacrifice your
mother,
life
a
for it.
sister, a
Yeah.
daughter, and
But then the second part of the reason I bring this up is Ghislaine Maxwell is, like, putting this in a footnote. And there's all these people on social media who are like, well, there's all these civil settlements, but they're under an NDA. Let me tell you who does not care about civil settlement NDAs: the Department of Justice. A grand jury subpoena will destroy any civil settlement NDA. It doesn't matter. It doesn't count. The grand jury wants it. They can get it. The DOJ could get every single one of those settlements and see what the alleged co-conspirators paid people for, what the allegations were, and move. And why they don't makes me lose, like, all hope. Like, I don't.
you know what makes me lose hope? Today, I saw an interview with Dana Bash of CNN with a man from the Department of Justice. He was the spokesperson. I don't think he was the head of it. I think he's the spokesperson for it. Regardless, this man was shaking in his boots. He was so nervous and so defensive. And no matter what she said, he kept saying, "Don't say Donald Trump's name. There are so many people mentioned here." He was basically put there to defend Trump. He had nothing to say about anything else except being defensive. And he was so afraid. And clearly his job is in jeopardy if he says the wrong thing. But this gave us no hope for the victims. This was not who you want running your Department of Justice. It was alarming. There was nothing about justice in his job title or
Well,
the way his demeanor.
I have something to say about that. I was thinking about this with the DOJ. Like, we know a lot of federal prosecutors, like, leaked information about the prosecution of Comey or of Tish James, like, fine, whatever. I think that Watergate was important. Leaking can help justice. It's fine. Why is nobody leaking the truth that the DOJ knows about the Epstein files? Because there are plenty of people on both sides of the aisle who have seen horrifying things that remain secret from the rest of America, and we're getting drips and drabs of it. Where are the heroes within the DOJ who won't, like,
Maybe
bring
this is a call to them, Amy. Please, if you are in the DOJ, be the whistleblower, be the hero of this story. It's probably, I mean, given how many people have been murdered as part of this, I mean, or somehow disappeared or commit suicide unceremoniously, there's probably a lot of legitimate fear. Oops, Aim, we're out of time. I'm the wrap up girl. We're wrapping up. We'll see you tomorrow.
by